Welcome to GetX AML. In this video, we'll understand the concept of the model evaluation and generalization. What are the different techniques we have for model evaluation and generalization? What is this model evaluation and generalization? You build a model, a machine learning model, and then you need to evaluate it or test. Okay. So, what is this means? I train the model with some sample. Okay. Now, I will evaluate this model on unseen data and test its performance, how it works. I train a certain set of data and then will take unseen data previously, it has not seen or trained on this data, and then test. Okay. So what are the different things? See, what is that you are seeing? So it's something called as learning curve. You already seen it in bias variance trade-off. What is learning curve? Can you imagine learning curve? Something like this. This is what we are trying to minimize. So say this end is high variance in the model. On this end, high bias. When I say high variance, the model is overfitting. That means model is too complex, very complex model. High bias means it is not able to capture the simple patterns in the data. So this is underfitting or model is too simple. What is the goal of machine learning? That is for model evaluation and generalization. Generalization means how it behaves on the unseen data. You need to reduce the variance. You need to reduce the bias. That means model should not be too complex or too simple, but it should capture everything. So that is the optimal curve you want to find, point you want to find in this learning curve. That is where your model evaluation comes into picture. Now, there are different evaluation metrics. You already have seen them. So there are different evaluation metrics. Evaluation metrics means what are those metrics or measures on which you will see the performance of your model. So you can classify them as regression metrics and classification metrics. Basically, in supervised learning, we are doing two things. One is either regression, classification, or a model can do both. Can act as a regressor as well as classifier. So what are the things you have seen in regression? So, for example, you have seen the evaluation metrics as mean absolute error, MEE. You have seen mean square error. In linear regression, you have seen all this. You have also seen root mean square error. Then you have seen R square error, adjusted R square, and use standard errors, RSC, all those things for regression. When it comes to classification, we will see accuracy, precision, recall. It is false positive rate on true positive rate. So in the first module, you have covered all this. Then you have F1 score, confusion matrix. And two more things we use, ROC curve and AUC, area under curve. We will see it later. Then you have seen some regularization techniques. Regularization means when you apply regularization, when you get a result, but the results may be unstable due to high variance. There are L1 norm, for example, lasso. There is L2. In linear regression, for multiple linear regression, we use the ridge regression when the variance becomes unstable or very high. So these are an example. In networks, neural networks, we may use elastic net. There are many examples like this. This is the concept of evaluation metrics. What are the metrics used to evaluate your model, and if required, how will you regularize so that system becomes stable. So now we'll see how to validate your model. Okay, once you build your model, what are different methods or techniques we can use to cross-validate, cross-validation techniques. The first one is the simplest one, hold-out method. So in hold-out method, what we will do, say we have 100 samples. In 100 samples, say we randomly select 70% or 80%, 80 samples for training, and 20 samples out of this randomly chosen for your testing. This is nothing but hold out method. So the procedure, you split the given data into training set some percentage. So choose randomly some percentage of images or, for example, data points for training and others into your testing data. This is the holdout method. Now, what are the advantages of this? First advantages is it is simple and fast, because the entire data, even the data is very large, we're just splitting it into only two categories, one using training, another for testing. So this works for very large data, good for very large data. What are its limitations? So limitations include risk of high variance, because for example 70 to 80% of the data I'm giving it as training and I'm choosing them randomly, right? So I don't know about the variance, so there is a risk of high variance. There is a high variance, then the model comes to overfitting or becomes too complex. Okay. That is one thing. So let us take an example. So they're saying a data set has 1000 samples using a 70-30 hold spit out. The classifier gives training accuracy 95%, test accuracy 80%. Okay, so this split as what? Training data, so 70%, and test data is 30%. So they are saying 30% test data is how many data points now? 30% means 0.3 into out of 1000. So 300 samples are for test, randomly chosen. Then the test accuracy is 80%. So that means what? Find the number of misclassified test samples. So I am applying for test samples. So that means 80% accuracy means 20% misclassified, means given the wrong label out of 300 test samples. So this is 0.2 into 300. This comes out to be 60. So 60 data points are misclassified. Next, the next approach is leave one out. Okay, cross validation technique. Leave one out. So let us say there are n samples or data points. What it says is you take n minus 1 data points for training and only one data point for testing. So this is called leave one out. So one I am leaving out. Okay. So then repeat this process for n times. That means for every data point you repeat this. For example, I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. These are the data points. First you take this as the for test data. Then this remaining 4 will be my training data. So this is the first iteration. In the second iteration, you choose this as the test data and rest as the training data. So like that you can perform up to 5 steps, that is n times second repeat, and then take the average accuracy for this total 5 tests. So that is how you calculate the U1 out metric accuracy. So what are the advantages of this technique? The first advantage is it is unbiased, because I am taking every data point into consideration. So the model is good. So it is unbiased. Second is so maximum training data is used. So it means what? So the data is the model is trained on the all of the complete data sets. Unlike the previous one, hold out, there we split it as 70-30 or 80-20. So that 20% will never be trained at all. For example, here, but it is not the case. Every data point or max is trained. Okay. What are its limitations? If you observe here, have to repeat so many times. If the data set is very large, it becomes slow because computationally intensive. Computational cost is high. Okay. It may also induce sometimes high variance because there are too many points you are training. Next, for example, the data set has 6 samples with the true labels as follows. These are the true labels and these are the estimated labels. So find the leave one out classification error. So how will you find? So if you find out total error, how many errors it has created. So y is the true value, y hat is the estimated value, or the predicted labels by the model. And then I use this cross validation test. Now it has produced the results like this: 1, 1, 1, 0, 0, 1. And then actual true value was 1, 0, 1, 1, 0, 0. So this one is correctly predicted. This one is wrong. This one is correct. This one is wrong. Correct. And then wrong. So 3 out of 6 are the errors, or that is 1 by 2 or 50% is the classification error. Next. So next is the k-fold cross validation. So it's an hybrid or mix of both the hold out and leave one out cross validation technique. So it is similar to your leave one out. Here instead of taking n minus 1 and 1, we divide the n into 10 sample size is n into k folds, okay, of roughly same size. So you divide this n into k different folds. That is, if n is my, this is how I can visualize my n total sample. You divide this samples into k parts or k folds, we say, each containing some data points. Now you apply the concept of leave one cross validation here. So instead of n, I have k here. So what is the procedure? Procedure is to choose k minus 1 folds for training and one fold here data set. You can use it for testing and repeat it k times, just like your leave one out. So one is left, is one part is left. Rest k minus 1 folds or parts are used for trading, and this is repeated for k times, making every, for example, here initially this part is taken for testing, then rest this part for training, these folds. Similarly, next this will be for testing, rest other things will be for training. So on it continues for k iterations. Okay, so that is the concept of k fold cross validation. Now let us see what are its advantages. So if you observe, it takes out the limitations of both of the previous models. What is the advantage? It has very low variance. Okay. So reliable means stronger than your holdout. Okay. And low variance than your leave one out. Okay. What are its limitations? So again, computational cost. So many parts I have to train, and they have to be trained repeatedly. So computational cost is high. So it may be sometimes slow. Second is this k value. This k value, if it is very small, then the variance will be high. Why? See, for example, if I say k is equal to n, if each part is one data sample, okay, that means every point is acting as one data sample, then it becomes my leave one out only, right? So then the variance increases. If I decrease this k value, it approaches leave one out. If I make it very large, okay, then it becomes slow because computational cost is high. I need to train more and more data if k is very large. Okay. So let us see an example. A 5-fold cross validation. That means the data is split into 5 parts. Is performed. Each fold produces the following number of correctly classified samples out of 40 samples per fold. In each fold there are 40 samples placed. So and then they are giving the correctly classified sample values here for each of the iteration. Compute the accuracy for each fold. Accuracy for each fold, let us say A1 first. So it will be 32 by 40. So this comes out to be 0.80. Second A2 is equal to 30 divided by 40, 3 by 4. This is 0.75. A3 is equal to 28 by 40. This will come out to be 0.7. A4 is equal to 34 by 40. This is 0.85. Then A5 is equal to 26 by 40. This is 0.65. Now find the mean accuracy. Mean accuracy is equal to sum of all these a1 plus a2 so on up to a5 divided by 5. K is equal to 5. So this will be equal to 0.75. That means what? Mean accuracy is 75% is the meaning. Next, third, variance. Variance, we already know, is 1 by n, that is 5 into summation of I equal to 5 points are there. To calculate the difference between mean, let's say this is average mean is mu. Mean accuracy is mu. So mu minus each data point, ai square. So if we calculate this, we'll get my variance as 0.005. So it has a mean accuracy of 0.75 or 75% with a variance of 0.005. Just to summarize, so three techniques you understood: hold out, K fold down, leave one out. So in hold out, we have a single split. Okay, for example, 80 for training and 20 for testing. In K fold, what I will do, I will split into K parts. So train on K minus 1 folds and 1 fold for testing and repeat it for K times. Then leave one out. You split the data n points into n splits. So each point, 1 point you take out for testing and less n minus 1 points or samples will be used for training. What is it best for? To hold out, you will take out randomly 80%, so it's good for large data sets. K fold, most machine learning tasks use it. Okay, we'll see later. It is good for very small data set because the cost is very high here. What are the advantages? Very fast and easy. K fold is reliable, lower variance. This is what we use this mostly for all the models. Lowest bias and maximal use of data. What are limitations? Here high variance, unreliable for small data. Here extremely slow for large data sets because almost every point has to be trained. Higher training cost than holdout. Even its variance is low because the holdout, because you are iterating K times, it takes high training cost. Okay. So thank you for watching. Please like, subscribe and share.